Now that we have learned the basics of what is needed to successfully install CUDA toolkit and GPU driver, we are ready to verify our installation. So again, this was covered in the previous video, but in order to check whether we have CUDA toolkit installed, we can use this NVCC, and it gives us the version of the CUDA toolkit installed. In my case it is 12.9, which is the latest. And then we can also check the driver version, NVDISMI. This will give us the driver version, and in my case it is 570. And as mentioned in the last video, it's important that the driver that we have is compatible with the CUDA toolkit. In my case it is, and I have verified it by just checking the release notes of 12.9 CUDA toolkit. So now all that is done. Now let's make sure we can actually build some application using this CUDA toolkit installed. So for that, here in the recommended action on the CUDA documentation page, they basically suggest that there is the GitHub repository which has lots of samples. So if we can try to build any of those samples, and if we are able to successfully build and run those examples, then that means that we have successfully installed CUDA. So if we go to this link here, it takes us to this repository. So what you need to do first thing is just clone this repository by just doing git clone and then this link here. So this will clone this repository on your computer. One thing very important, so in my case I have the latest CUDA toolkit installed, which is 12.9, so I'm using this master branch to clone. But if let's say you have CUDA toolkit that is not the latest, you will have to look for the right tag to find the CUDA toolkit version that is installed on your machine. Alright, so I have already cloned this repository, so I have the samples on my PC already, which is here, CUDA-samples on my desktop. So then we will try to build those samples. So here are the steps to build. I am using Linux, so I will be following these steps. So first of all, we need to make sure that we have the CMake installed. In my case, I have it installed. To double check, we can just say CMake and then check for what version I have. I have 3.22, and they say we need something that is greater than 320. So we're good. Okay. We have checked the CMake. Next, they are saying navigate to the root of the cloned repository and create a build directory. Actually, before we go there, I also want to check the GCC version and G++ version. So those are important too. Okay, so in my case, GCC version is 12 and G++ version is also 12. Okay, so make sure you also have GCC and G++ installed. Now we can proceed with the instructions here. So here they're saying navigate to the root of the cloned repository. So let's go to the root, which was CUDA samples. Okay, and then they're saying make a build directory there. Okay, so copy, and then we will paste. So now we're in the build directory, and then they say configure the project with CMake. So CMake. Okay. Okay, and then finally we can build the samples. So we'll just copy and we will initiate the build. Paste. Okay, so this might take a while. So we expect this to go all the way to 100% and without any errors. So I'm going to pause the recording and we'll come back up once this build is finished. Finally, the build is complete, as you can see, 100%. So now we are ready to move on to the tutorials. So let's go back to the instructions here on the documentation page. So here we can see what they're saying is we can run this device query from the samples. So what we just built, if we go back to the CUDA samples and inside the build folder, inside samples, so this is where all of the executables are located that just got produced when we ran the build. So if we go to utilities, inside here you will see device query. You can actually run any of the samples here, but we will just take the example of device query. If I go in here, you will see an executable. Okay, so let's run it. Let's clear that, and then we'll go inside samples, and then we'll go inside the utilities because that's where the executable is located for device query. And then we will go inside device query, and there is our executable. So to run the executable, we'll just basically do this, and then there we go. So this is the result of the device query, and basically the result is pass, and also you expect to see the content here. So if we go back here, it's telling you that the result should look something like this, and which will look a little different. It won't exactly match because you need to, if you're having different versions of CUDA, then your result will look different, like in my case. But the result has passed. So that means our CUDA installation is correct, and we can use it for whatever projects you're working on. That's all for this video. So with these recent videos, we have successfully installed the CUDA and its CUDA toolkit and the NVIDIA driver. Maybe one last thing. So as you see here, it says CUDA driver version is 12.8 and CUDA runtime version is 12.9. And again, the CUDA toolkit version is actually 12.9. This here, 12.8, is basically the result that you get when you try to look at what driver you have. So when you look at the driver, it says CUDA version this. So this CUDA version has nothing to do with CUDA toolkit version. So this is just telling you that this driver can support CUDA toolkits up to this version. But now you might ask that this 12.9 is greater than 12.8. So how can this, the statement that I just made be true? So for that, you have to read through some documentation from NVIDIA about minor version compatibility. So since they are both same version, major version, that is 12, so it is compatible. So anything that is 12, if this was, let's say, 11, then your driver would not have been compatible with this 12.x, but since it is 12.x here, it's compatible. Okay, that's all for this video, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.